Questionnaire, as I said, it's under mandatory assignments. What you certainly want to do is as soon as you click on the assignment, it populates like so. I am going to ask that you click on it. At this point in time, it's not going to let you populate the form with your information. What you're going to have to do is click on the three dots to the right, top right, and open in a new window. All right. So what this is going to allow me to do is it's going to allow me to download. If you notice, there's a little print symbol as well as a download arrow button that will allow us to download the file once we open it up. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pretend to download it and save it to my desktop. And with that, let me see if it'll populate this way. And no. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and stop that for the meantime and switch over to my full screen. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and backtrack a little bit. I'm going to share my screen. All right, I'm going to get rid of that for temporary purposes. I'm going to open up this. And when you do open up the file, you certainly want to, I recommend opening it up with Adobe Acrobat. Minimize this as well as, all right, here we are. Okay, so basically your next step, once you get the Adobe Acrobat Reader file of the transition guide questionnaire, you are going to want to come to the right where it says fill and sign. You click on that. You will click fill and sign. All right, now you have the ability to populate your information. So, okay, so your first section is to put your Grad 90 coordinators information in here. And let's see. So this is either going to be Miss Cheatham, if you're in the construction field. And then you're going to have Miss Papa, which is, if I'm not mistaken, she is going to cover the human services. And that's going to be like security. That's going to be, you know, certainly like OA, warehousing, or yeah, material distribution, warehousing. Let's see, corrections. She's going to be covering those items. And then let's see, and then we have Miss Archie. She's going to cover the health services pathways. So I'm going to initial here construction. Human services. And this RT is going to be the health services pathway. Now, the next person that you're going to want to identify is your career transition specialist. This person is going to be the person, as I stated earlier, they're going to be helping you after you graduate. It is our hope that once you complete this, as well as your Grad 90 presentation, once you submit all that to me and I approve it, it has everything that we need. Certainly, this provider will certainly help you after you graduate. In most cases, they're going to verify that you have a job, and if you don't have a job upon your separation, chances are they are going to help you find one. That'll be specified wherever you're from. I, in most cases, will certainly send you an email along with a very useful report. It's called the STAT report. I email that to your student email, and it also includes your CTR Grad 90 coordinator. Like I said, it's either going to be Ms. Cheetah, Ms. Chapa, or Ms. Arcee. It's also going to include the CTS provider, the person I'm specifying now. They'll have their full contact information, as well as the CTS manager and supervisor. Okay. Moving on. Make sure that you do put your full name, date of birth, age, street, city, zip code. This will be a verifier, again, of your address. If you plan on moving, you certainly need to make sure that you let us know, as well as the CTS provider. Make sure that you do provide your cell phone. If you have, let's say, like an iCloud, you might want to also add that maybe in the home section. Let's see. Now, in your email section, I certainly recommend that you utilize your personal email. The reason I say that, guys, is because once you graduate, sometimes your email gets shut off. In my experience, the Job Corps email is supposed to actually stay active for a full year. I haven't seen that, in all situations, but it does happen that way. When it comes down to adding in this next section, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, I highly recommend it. But if you don't have one, just put NA. Now, again, that's if you don't have it. Trade, make sure you use that little drop down box and select the one that applies to your trade. Make sure you select the high school, the HSD or the HSE, if you have it or not. In this section, this is going to be I consider these emergency. Why? If in the event that you, let's say you break your phone, let's say you're out of the country, and we have a paycheck, or we have transitional funds, a certificate that we need to send you, your maybe we're mailing you your graduation ring, or I don't know, there's too many plausible situations. But for whatever reason, we need to be able to get a hold of somebody. And if we don't have that, well, guess what? All that money, those little incentives that you earned here in your specified time with Gary Job Corps, just going to go away. So my advice to you guys: make sure this portion is up to date. I'm not even going to add anything. I don't want to confuse you, but Certainly add the contact as well as their cell phone. If they have an alternate, certainly put that as well. Now the housing section, make sure that you check which which type of housing you're going to be living in, as well as your transportation and placement. You may work, you may go to school, military, other. Um, I will say that if you do have a job lined up for yourself, or you're planning on going into the military, I ask that you try to get that information to me as quickly as possible. All right. This next section is just going to cover uh, more emphasis of the housing aspect, and how you plan on living. Um, I certainly recommend that if uh, it does require a comment, make sure that you do add it in the comment section. If you don't understand the question, please let me know, and to make sure everything is filled out correctly. Um, this next section right here about if relocating, uh, certainly, I certainly want you to understand this section. If you are planning to relocate, let's say to San Marcos, please identify that. Um, I would also say if you are considering it, I would also state that a little bit later on. But make sure that if, for whatever reason, let's say this doesn't apply to you, make sure that you are putting NA. So let's say this is NA as well, this too. Uh, Make sure you are selecting the correct answers here for yourself. Let's see. Certainly, answer the question here as well if you have any background issues. If not, make sure you put NA. Make sure that you also identify your greatest supporters, as well as if you have any credit cards or debt, make sure that you put NA if it's non-applicable. All right, here's transportation. For whatever reason you are needing some assistance, make sure that you identify that in the comments or specify. Let's see. Again, here's more information about transportation. Make sure that if it doesn't apply to you, make sure that you do put NA. Let's see. As well as identifying what your backup plan is. You should possibly give maybe 2 or 3 options. All right, so here is the nitty gritty of the placement section, where a lot of people have, I'm not going to say a lot of trouble, but misunderstanding. Certainly recommend that, if you don't understand this, here's where we need to focus in on. So the local address just means, do you live in Texas, or do you live out of Texas? If you, let's say you're from, I don't know, from another state, and you need a little bit of assistance to relocate to Texas, make sure you identify that as well. But this is basically the understanding here is, do you live in Texas? Let me see. All right, physical limitations. Is there anything that's keeping you from doing your job? Right? All right. Okay. Dependents on this section right here, or this last question, excuse me, is your social media employment ready? Now, this, in most cases, you want to think about it. Is your Facebook up to par? Does it have images that shouldn't be up there? Basically, if you have any reference to find a job, you have to make sure that your Facebook, Instagram, anything related is cleaned up. You want to make sure that there's nothing, nothing about partying or showing uh, negative items. I'll say that. So make sure that your Facebook is clean, Instagram is clean, because any of that stuff could be held against you when trying to find a job. Okay. All right. So here's another good little section. If you plan on working, all right, have you researched some employers and the labor market information in your area? Okay. I plan on doing a little presentation about how to locate that. Labor market information could be considered as, let's say you want to use salary.com. Let's say you want to use Indeed. There's a lot of great um, there's a lot of great tools out there, applications that will allow you to find um, the career related uh, job and trade opportunities, but we have to utilize them. So be honest here. If you haven't researched the market information in your area, we certainly need to make sure that you do that. That will happen whenever you do your Grad 90 presentation because you have to look it up. All right. Um, One of the things I will say, um, identify 3 companies that you potentially want to work for. The reason I say this is because this is going to CTS. If for whatever reason they have existing partnership with those companies, we're halfway there to get you employed. So highly recommend that you identify those 3 companies that you most likely want to apply to. Okay, so keep that in mind. If you plan on going to school, make sure that you identify that information here. Um, let's see. If for whatever reason you do need some like maybe like a checkoff list, I do have one, but certainly need you to request it. Let's see. Within regards to financial aid, you along with this, entry exam, applying to college is going to take a lot of time. So make sure you start early. Don't wait till the last minute to get this done. Highly recommend that if you want placement under college, that you at least get over 12 hours of uh, credit courses. Let's see. Another important section to fill out. Let's see. A good fact to know while you are working on this, and since we're speaking of the military, Job Corps students have the ability to uh, do part-time military while they are going to Job Corps. Right? I said that. So, let's say you were interested in going to doing the Texas National Guard. Well, you can do that while you are attending Job Corps. And if you didn't know that by now, you would get paid and you would certainly get assistance with college. Something to think about. Um, Not to mention full-time benefits. So what I mean by that is, you're going to be doing part-time military, but still getting full-time benefits and getting paid, getting the assistance for college as well. Why not, right? All right. So um, if you are looking for clocked hours, you're definitely going to have to speak with the work-based learning specialist. Um, I do believe the ASVAB person or point of contact for the ASVAB is going to be Mr. Gaines. Let's see. Move on to the next section. Here we go. So this is a budgeting exercise right here. Um, what I'm going to say is, bear with me. Let's see. All right, here we go. So hopefully you guys can see this. All right. So my little budgeting exercise goes like this. So basically what you want to do is you want to calculate your weekly salary, right? So that's going to be 40 hours regular hours, in a week, multiplied by your, whatever hourly wage you plan on, um, obtaining outside of Job Corps. And that's going to basically get you your weekly salary. All right. So 40 hours regular week times, whatever hourly wage that, you want to test here. Um, Next, you're going to take that weekly salary and multiply that by 52 weeks in a year. And that's going to gain you your yearly salary, right? Once you get your yearly salary, you're going to want to divide that by 12 months in the year to calculate and get an answer for your monthly salary. Now, with that being said, guys, you certainly want to configure your monthly salary each and every time that you are calculating that on these percentages. So let's say your monthly salary is 2,600. So that 2,600 is going to be multiplied by that percentile. Make it simple. 0.35 equals 35%. Again, you're going to multiply that times 0.15 to get your answer. Believe me, it looks a lot harder than it seems. All right, so hypothetically, you're going to get an answer for each one of these, and if you add all the answers up together, you should calculate and get a grand total of 2,600. That's if this was the salary that you were going for. I believe this is based off of $15 an hour, and it's a good figure. But it just personally, I would want to test the waters and know how much my money, is actually going to get for me. I would have to know, because you have to think about it. Your percentiles are gauged accordingly. Housing, mortgage, repairs, taxes, utility, insurance, debt, student loans, credit cards, personal loans. This could also be like rent to own items. Maybe you end up, renting a couch, rent to own a couch, refrigerator, or whatnot. Then you have transportation. You have to, you definitely have to think about, car payments if you're going to seek out one of those. After graduation, you got to think about gas. You got to think about insurance. Certainly have to think about repairs. I know Mr. Roy is thinking about repairs as I speak, because my vehicle is already due. You have to think about, potentially parking passes, toll fees, train bus fees. Other expenses would be, allocated for, going out to eat, for vacations. Certainly after you finish Job Corps, you may need a little vacation. Going out, clothing, of course. And then last but not least, your emergency fund right here, savings. Give or take your expenses for any of the alternative sections or budgets. You could potentially put that little extra money into your savings, and I highly recommend that. Pay yourself first, because if for whatever reason you happen to fall on hard times, this is certainly going to save you. I know it's in my book, it saved me plenty of times. So bear in mind with that individualized topic. All right. So plan and commitment declaration. This is something that, as I stated earlier, it's kind of related to the relocation. If you don't plan on relocating, all I ask is that you certainly answer, truthfully, clearly, decisively. Let's say you go ahead and type some notes in here. Let's say you want to talk about, where you plan on living. Oh, okay. So let's say I plan to let's say, I don't want to answer it for you because then you'll take that answer. So just basically state where you're going to live and for how long. You want to identify, what city. Be the next steps. Um, for example, maybe after 6 to 8 months, the next step is going to be your own apartment. Um, Give or take the job opportunity that you're looking for. Certainly identify that as well. Maybe there's some assistance for you that we can certainly prepare beforehand before you graduate. This don't have to be very lengthy. Just get straight to the point. I will ask that you hold off on the signatures to the very end. The reason behind this, because if you happen to do all the work first, you're only going to have to do this once per se. It's a little hard to understand that these signatures actually do save your work. So rather than having to do this so many times, saving your work, I will ask that you fill everything out first. Make sure you put your full name, last four of your social. Here's another signature and date area. Notice this one does not have an electronic signature, so you're going to have to do your best to sign this manually. This is also an area where your parent or guardian must sign the document as well. Make sure they put the relationship as well as the date. This is another area. This is going to basically identify whether you did the work in Texas. If you don't do that, chances are you're not going to get the full amount of your transitional support needs. There's a bunch of useful information here that is extremely useful as well as important to you as a student. Has many resources that a lot of people will take for granted. So if you would make sure that you put all effort into completing this section. I ask that once you create your login and start your profile and all that, make sure you let us know which email you're using as a username. So let's say you create your account. You're probably going to use a personal email address. Same thing here. If you plan on using the same email, make sure you put that as well. This is going to be it's going to be as well as the Indeed. Certainly need to utilize a personal email for that, so that way we know your login. Excuse me, not your login, but your username. The FAFSA, this is going to be another username. Make sure you identify the personal email that you used, or if you don't plan on going to college, at least not for now, I recommend that you utilize NA. And then this is the last portion. This is just identifying who your CTS is, your CTS provider. Again, this information should and will be emailed to you via your student email. Just make sure you put their name here as well as their telephone number, and you want to include the CTS provider's email. Okay. Let's see. Also included in that document with the CTS contact information is it's also going to include the supervisor and manager. So again, this information All right. And let's see. That's pretty much it. Looks like we reached the end of the assignment. So for the most part, I will ask that you submit this um, to me first so you can get credit and I can look it over and make sure that everything is answered correctly. Then I will certainly let you know that you can email it to actually to the CTS person as well as the GradNatty coordinator. If you do have any questions, please feel free to contact me during my office hours as well as text me or call my office. Every form of communication on this is extremely helpful. I certainly also want to make note that I did put all my contact info in the classroom stream. So if you do have any questions, come 3 o'clock, I'll be in my live office hours for you. It looks like we just about ran out of time. So with that being said, I do appreciate you attending the live lesson. And if you weren't able to make the lesson, I certainly hope that you will in the future. Again, this is Mr. Loya live lesson for today. We went over the transition guide questionnaire, covered it thoroughly, as well as how to do the signature as well. Again, there is a video in the classroom that shows you how to do the e-signature. It's not too hard, but again, there is that as well as my office hours for any assistance related to questions or help with the e-signature. But that's it, guys. I appreciate it. Hopefully you guys are being safe and you're having a good afternoon. We'll see you next time.